Greetings, welcome back to my channel, Meta Messiah, and I'm very thankful to be recovering from COVID, which I've had just over a week now, and I'm feeling much better. My voice is coming back, my mind's coming back to me. You may notice in some of my recent videos some mistakes or things don't seem right with me, and that's because I was suffering from a disease that's actually rather invasive to the lungs and also the mind. And COVID's a tough one. So I'm thankful to be healthy. I can only say namaste. I hope you are all healthy and doing well. You saw the title to this video and hopefully it caught your attention. There's a balance. I think there's a harmony now, and something I've definitely overlooked. And I've made other videos prior about Suka, Dejitar Suka, and juxtaposed that token to Okinami. And I think I've been so hyper-focused on Okinami and looking just at the evidence pertaining to Okinami and its blockchain messages on the Twitter account that I haven't been looking in the right place. And it's funny. It really is funny because even the Okinami dev has said in the blockchain messaging something to the effect of you'll find it in the pool that you least expect it to be. And without trying to get into too much highly speculative conjecture, I've been researching Suka lately and notice some key points. And I'm going to draw some parallels here between Suka and Okinami that I think you're going to want to listen to carefully if you're in either project. And in light of recent FUD that's been released on Okinami through its own community members, and can only say I respect anyone's opinion, but don't let your emotions get the better of you. They certainly can get the better of me or anyone else. First off, two fair launch tokens, stealth launch, fair launch. There was no pre-launch, no advertising. These tokens just appear on the blockchain and you could buy them on Uniswap because they had sufficient liquidity and are safe enough contracts, I would imagine, in their acceptance into the Uniswap DeFi exchange. They're about roughly, oddly, about 40 days apart, where we look at the end of May, early June, and then sometime in July actually is when Okinami's released, if I'm not mistaken. About 6 weeks apart. Both using ciphers and blockchain messaging. There's no official website as far as we know for Suka, although Okinami may have, I think, an official website that is listed on Etherscan. I don't know if Suka's is the official one or not. I have to double check that. But at any rate, the only information that's communication from the dev of either project, mainly on the blockchain. Twitter account for Okinami, in addition to the blockchain. Suka, I don't know if I think that's a community-run Twitter account. There's a mystery that's similar to both. Both tokens come out, people start reading into the blockchain messages and start researching, and it's interesting that it's Ryoshi research. We see very similar language between the two on the blockchain, the broken sentences and structures, syntax, vocabulary, the way it's misspelled words and so on. So similar Ryoshi type talk. Beyond the blockchain and the fact that these two tokens just emerge without any pre-notice or anything, they just stealth launch. we in the Okinami community and the Suka community are trying to find hidden messages, ciphers, and codes. And after doing more and more research about Suka, there's actually quite a bit. And I'll just post some images as I speak that you should take a look at. But what we're seeing is direction and code to lead the members to find something that they're meant to know if they can find it. And so, like how in Okinami there's a blockchain message in which you can find SHIB and all the capitals in there. We see this similarity in these blockchain messages trying to send coded messages within them, the blockchain messages. And then we have this character who's very important on the Ryoshi Research Twitter account, okay, which after a year of disappearing, Ryoshi Research, the Twitter account, changes the image to the Buddha Siddha or Siddha Milarepa. Sangyang Haruka is the author of the Songs of Milarepa, and you can find in there Sangyang and then Haruka Tsuka. This very important nexus, this very important connection I want to spend just a little time on. Milarepa, okay? If you are watching both tokens as they unfold in their stories, Suka launches about 4 days before, okay? Suka's token launches 4 days before Ryoshi Research changes the avatar picture to Milarepa. In the Okinami Twitter account, you have Urashima Taro. Okay, Urashima Taro is the fisherman. Ryoshi means fisherman. And in the blockchain messaging, for Okinami, you have the talk about climbing Mount Kailash, and I talk about this in a previous video. There's only one legendary figure we know of to have actually climbed to the peak of Mount Kailash, and that's Milarepa. He's a transformative figure. He goes through a metamorphosis. He basically is a man of evil, an evil man who kills everybody in his village because he was jealous of their wealth, and he becomes later a Buddhist Siddha, and he goes to Tibet and he brings Buddhism to Tibet. And that's in close to the areas of the mountains and Mount Kailash. Very interesting. If I were to draw one major connection between the two tokens, is Milarepa is the bridge between Suka and Okinami. Because of Okinami's blockchain message, again, referring to Mount Kailash. Who else would have climbed it? Well, the one famous person, Milarepa. Moving on. There's something more that came from the Suka journal very recently. And I just saw it yesterday, I believe. And then it clicked. I'm like, hold on a second. I know this is through the community that they're working on this transactional finance. Major aspect of Suka is to be able to take fiat, convert it to get Suka and Suka to fiat. They're working on some type of transactional system here. And if you know, with recent news and everything going on in the crypto world, we're in a very major paradigm shift from the old fiat banking system to a blockchainization or blockchain financial system, which naturally the rich don't want you to know about as a thing yet. They'll make you scared of it so they could buy it and own it. That's how they work. They do that with stocks. They do that with every investment. The rich are going to basically monopolize the early buy-in, so they make the greatest wealth, and so they're going to downplay it to everybody else. You'll notice even probably a lot of rich people tell you that they think crypto is stupid, and they probably own crypto. They don't want you to know. But that's DeFi. DeFi undercuts all of that by giving everybody an equal opportunity and equal chance. Okay? There's something special there because it's not about just helping the rich. It's about helping everybody who's paying attention. Going to help the rich and the poor and people in between. And that's a pretty special thing about it. But Okinami, one of the things we've been looking at is there are a lot of indicators to suggest that Okinami, given the great wave off Kanagawa, this next wave of DeFi. What is this next wave of DeFi? We've seen this wave imagery throughout the Ethereum's developers, presentations, DevCons, wearing shirts, and all that other stuff. We're looking at this next wave of DeFi being the personal custodial ownership of digital assets, owning crypto as a means of securing your money, your transactional resource to buy goods and services. I see Suka as the dragon. Okay, Suka is the dragon, and that dragon brings fortune to Urashima Taro in the story. And Urashima Taro, the patient fisherman, you see in the story. The story matters. The narrative matters. This Ryoshi character is telling a story with Suka in the blockchain. And I believe the dev in Okinami is likewise carrying on that story. So whatever Suka is bound to do, this powerful force is going to summon something else, which is another powerful force, which is the sea. Both the ocean and the sea and the dragon are to be feared and reckoned. Okay, because there's a lot of power there. Fire, ice. Fire, water. Two opposing energies. And if you're into, Eastern philosophy, Eastern thought, these are two very distinct imageries. Dragons are very important in Asian culture, but also in the mythologies and Eastern thought and philosophy. Important in Buddhism too. So is the water. So is the wave. Stream water is like I said, I'm a lazy Zen Buddhist, but I'll tell you this: water imagery is huge in Buddhism. That river, the stream with Siddhartha, Gautama, the Buddha. Okay. Our lives are much like the drop of water that just comes out for a moment and returns back to the pool of water, to the river, the stream. And there's a lot to be learned listening to the stream as it flows, and how enlightenment oftentimes comes through these very simple yet beautiful moments of reflection and focus on something, meditation. Suka is a meditation, as it's been said. It's not a meme coin. Suka is a meditation. If Suka is the meditation, Okinami, I wouldn't call it the meditation. Okinami is the fulfillment of something. Okay? Okinami is another vehicle of something in this, okay? That comes about as the dragon brings the wealth to the one who's patient, the patient fisherman. We may have been looking in the wrong pool all along. We're focusing on all this Okinami evidence, and yet have failed to look at a lot of what's going on with Suka, myself included. And recently some FUD came up. Oh no, the Suka code and the Okinami code are very similar. And I'm like, this is bad? Are you kidding me? could have been one of the best things that I could have told anyone. Be like, that's great news. How would the Okinami people know what the Suka code was, except for that Okinami came later in time? But there are some. We are looking at the code. There is a major difference in one aspect of it where. And the communities looked at this is they're not quite identical. There's one part of the code that, at least, and there could be others. There's one part of the code that is different, and it has to do with the execution of the smart contract. But they could be dev teams working together in this DeFi harmony of chaos and order. Okay, they're working on different things, but they're connected. And if that's the code on one and that's the code on the other, but if Okinami's code is tweaked a different way, there could be a potential synergy down the road that we just don't know about yet. I can only theorize, I can only conjecture on that too. But children call. So I had to pause the video there. So continue what I was saying. There's this possible synergy. And in DeFi, you have a concert of action which comes from chaos to order through various communities doing various things. And then it just comes in together in unison. Or else you lose a big aspect of that DeFi, what makes it DeFi. It's not corporate, okay? It's like the wind blowing through the trees and the leaves come together in a little pile by chance, okay? And as the wind swirls around, there's a cyclone. And through that cyclone of chaos and order, you see the cyclone stop, and then all the leaves drop into a pile. Okay, cosmos, order, chaos. There's a lot there philosophically. But in summation, I really do think there's this deep connection between Suka now and Okinami, and I can only guess that Suka's supposed to be in this ecosystem sort of akin to the Bitcoin of it, transactional resource, a storage of value, and a payment system. Part of a global, worldwide global payment system so that you can use crypto, Suka perhaps, to transact for goods and services. Okinami then comes in on a different angle, a different aspect of this, and that is to facilitate this payment system, global payment system, and it's a bridge. Okay, not saying it still could be an EIP 4844. I am not discounting the connections to the Ethereum developers. The Ethereum developers are very clever, and their way of doing DeFi is very clever. Okay, it could be that as Ethereum develops over time, okay, to maintain its DeFi nature, you have to take shards off even the developer teams. And there are those that are committed Ethereum developers. They work on Ethereum. Well, Ethereum can't survive on its own. It has to have a vibrant ecosystem. Suka and Okinami are both connected to Ethereum as ERC20 blockchain tokens. They sit on the Ethereum blockchain in that way. So in that way, their codes are very similar. All ERC20 tokens have a similar code in large part because they have to, or else they're not ERC20s. ERC20 refers to this particular set of code that makes a token an ERC20 and how it's in in harmony, and it's part of the conduit of the blockchain of Ethereum, or else it's not. It's a different type of blockchain. Otherwise, if it's a BEP20, then you have Binance for Smart Chain, for instance. Think about that. They're both ERC20s, okay? And there's possibly a new ecosystem, and it's heavily thematic. It's heavily orchestrated in terms of the symbols out there surrounding this Japanese, Chinese folklore, mythology, and also from Buddhism. Well, Buddhism's a major thought, philosophy, way of life, religion perhaps, in Asian culture, China and Japan in particular. And those nations right now, I think, are more ready, at least Japan. Japan, I think, is probably going to be the technological innovator of bringing blockchain to finance through a lot of the technologies that they're going to develop. And they've always been the incubator. They've always been the front runners. There's so much technologies. Look at video games and computers and various things, robotics and all that. Japan developed a lot of stuff. It makes sense that we're going to have a thematic, a marketing perhaps, that focuses on Asian thought, Asian culture, Eastern thought, philosophy. You want that market to have a token that they will look at and feel like it's part of theirs, part of their world. Because there are billions of people over there, and there are going to be a lot of buyers. That market as it opens in Asia is enormous. Okay? The United States is the biggest market. Then you get Europe, and then you get Asia. Asia is going to be bigger than the United States and Europe combined. It's just sitting there on the precipice. This revolution in DeFi, this next phase is going to open the floodgates of so much Asian money, fiat, as their banking systems start to also suffer like the rest, which they are. The worldwide banking system is going through a crisis. It's just not talked of as a crisis. It's not being referred to as a crisis, even though many of us know it is. And the blockchain, crypto, blockchain technology is the answer. Whatever your political persuasion, whatever your financial philosophies, political philosophies, this could help everyone. Of course, the banking sector doesn't like it. Traditional banking and finance hates crypto. They are programmed to hate it and tell everybody how bad it is. Yet underlying all of it, they're trying to get in on it with CBDCs. Okay? This is a war. This is going to be a war of cryptos. The centralized versus the decentralized. And we want the decentralized to win because that lets the little guy, gives him a chance to have a piece of the pie. Okay? And I think that's one compelling part of this whole narrative. What I really like about Suka and Okinami is this Ryoshi connection and this philosophy and discipline. It's both a philosophy and a discipline surrounding DeFi. And the Ethereum people share in this greatly. And I know this from the writings and the videos with Vitalik Buterin, who's a major spokesman for DeFi. He probably knows about both. I bet he knows about Suka and Okinami, but of course he won't talk about it. For this to be successful, a lot of secrets have to be held until they're ready to be revealed. And while the dev has been silent for Okinami, it's up to the community. It's up to the Okinami community now to carry it forward. Just dispel the FUD, look at what it is and what isn't. Recently, Shiba Inu had to get over this whole Shibarium code theft accusation because the Shibarium testnet had the like a blockchain ID from another token. Or what is it? Renari? I'm sorry. I don't have it off the top of my head. The COVID still got my head. Renari starts with an R. Gosh dang it. And so they didn't copy the code. The other token project said, no, it's just the identity of that particular open source has a similar ID that was somehow, they just didn't check it well enough, and there it was. Because when you're doing coding and stuff like that, it's just like practicing law in a sense of, why am I going to rewrite that particular contract language when I can just cut and paste and use it? If it works, it works. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to cut and paste and use it. Just like, don't let any lawyer fool you that he wrote everything that he wrote. A lot of that language is borrowed and it's reused because there's no sense in rewriting it. Maybe you tweak it and you edit it, but a lawyer could accidentally cut and paste and leave some type of information in there that goes back to the source, but that's not plagiarism. It's practicality. It's efficiency. Coders do the same thing with open source. So there's no plagiarism or anything like that. And debatably nothing copywritten in any way. It's open source. Boom. Okinami has Suka code. Suka code and Okinami very well might be connected because I see an emerging ecosystem and Eastern thought philosophy. There's this thread with many tokens coming out right now. We have Hoichi, we have Hachi, we have Suzume, we have Shirido, and various others. All these Asian-based, Asian-flared, Eastern-flared tokens. It's not just the dragon. It's not just the great wave off Kanagawa. There's all these tokens coming out. Some are going to be LARPs. Some are going to be scams. Looking at Suka, I can't say it's a scam. There's so much going into this right now. This community has brought it forward so much, and they're planning so much. I can only see that this is bound to do big things. These listings they're getting on exchanges. And the dragon, my friends, the dragon will bring the treasure to the fisherman. And the fisherman at the end of the Urashima Taro story, he's an old man. He was a young man fishing, and at the end he gets the treasure. He's holding on to it, realizes he's now old man. I certainly don't hope that for us, that we're going to be waiting years and decades and decades. But there's this lesson in the story, and that's because of patience. You're going to feel like it was 80 years. Okay? You're going to feel like it was waiting from being a young man to an old man when it happens. Because it's hard to wait. And that's what's going to kill you in crypto. Two things are going to kill you in crypto. Impatience, okay, and emotions. Okay, and those are very tied together because impatience itself is an emotion. And then people get angry, upset, the price isn't right for them, it's going down too much. They don't get the information, they sell and they run. This must be just crap. I'm not going to stick around. They did that with Shib early on. I saw a guy in a video, I don't know if it's true, he said he bought 2,000 when it first came out. And if he held it to the peak in 2021, he'd have $2 billion or something like that. I'm like, well, you didn't like losing $300. You sold it. Psst, too bad for you. Don't be that guy. The patient fisherman will be the one to get the treasure. Okay. There's more to this. I'm not going to go into it all now. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please support the channel. I really appreciate it. Let people know. And I think Okinami people, let's take a look at what Suka's done and what they've researched, what's in their pool of information, and see where it might apply to us. In the end, even if they're not connected, there must be an explanation to the connection that we've seen so far. Perhaps it's code that's very good code that, has a use that both of them drew from, dev to dev, competition. Hey, look at Microsoft and look at Apple. They both stole Xerox's code to do Windows and iOS. If you know the story about the pirates of Silicon Valley, yeah. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they both stole it from Xerox. And they created two of the biggest freaking companies ever. So, in the end, it could be something like that. I hope it's something like that. If it is just a not a coincidence, but a connection that wasn't necessarily welcome. But I have faith, and that's what matters in the end. So I hope you have faith in me, and if you do, you're going to subscribe. And you're going to enjoy the videos, and you're going to tell me all about what you think. We'll see you next time, folks. Thank you for watching, and let the dragon bring the treasure again to the fisherman.